It doesn't seem that long ago that we were having a really good moan about the lack of great electric cars under £30,000, but not anymore. And in fact, we're not only not moaning, but we're also celebrating the fact that here in the UK, the government has reintroduced grants that make electric cars up to £37,000 even more affordable. Yay!
If you have £30,000 to spend, or maybe between £300 and £400 a month on the finance, and you need 200 miles of real-world range, space for the kid and maybe the dogs, then you suddenly have quite a lot of choice. All these cars have arrived at once, a bit like buses.
So we have chosen our favourites from the most recent crop of cars that have come up in this class, and in no particular order we have
Renault's latest dip into its retro back catalogue, the 4. It has 244 miles of range, and in my opinion, it's by far the best looking of the 3 we have here today.
Oh, I don't know. The Puma's a good looking car, and the Brits like it too because it's a bestseller. Even more popular now, it's electric, surely. This one's got 226 miles of range, which isn't the biggest, but it's very efficient.
I have brought along the MGS5, which is not only the biggest and most spacious car here, it is also the longest range with 288 miles, so we might as well call it quits and just say that this is the winner, I think.
But we're not going to do that because it would be a short video. We are going to drive, we're going to deliberate, and then we will let you know which we think you should spend your money on. But before we get into all that, please subscribe. So let's kick off with the latest arrival out of the 3 cars we have today. Hot off the production lines in France, the Renault 4. It's one of the very first in the UK. And I'm going to start off by saying I'm sorry to the Renault 4 because I think I owe it a bit of an apology. Why? Well, because when I saw it in studio, I was just a little bit still enamoured with the Renault 5, still in those first throes of love. And also, I just the same day that I saw this, seen the Twingo for the first time. And also that, you know, just, I don't know, it just distracted me a bit. And I think I might have accused the Renault 4 of being a bit boring, which now I've seen it in the metal and driven it and had it parked outside my house, I know it is absolutely not. So I've had a couple of people knock on the door actually to ask me about this, say how much they like it. And that's always a brilliant test of a new car when that happens. So what have we got? Well, I think it's got a really nice modern retro touch. Renault are playing to that really well at the moment. There are some nice design features. You've got little Easter eggs along the car, like these little stripes at the side. You've got the cockerel in the windscreen over there. I like the indents that run along the side of the doors. It's got a boxier look than the 5, but of course it's got a different job to do. It doesn't get the cute illuminated charging port, but you do get this brilliant illuminated grille on the top 2 trim levels. So this is the top spec. It comes in at just under £31,000, although because it's in this grey colour with the 2-tone roof, that pushes the price up to just over £32,000. What I would say is that I don't think this grey colour does it justice. There are some brilliant colours in the lineup. And actually the standard car is a really nice vibrant shade of red. And I do think it looks better in that. But I don't know, maybe grey's your thing, but I don't think that's its strength.
And then there's the Puma. Ta-da! Well, it's not dramatic. I mean, it's a good looking car, but it's become familiar now, hasn't it? Because it's Britain's best seller. So we all know what a Puma looks like. It's not going to turn any heads. Your neighbours aren't going to be freaked out and start talking about you in a weird fashion because you've got one of these on the drive. Now, being the electric version, it does have some differences. So the grille is filled in, and at the back it's got white lettering and a slightly different bumper, but otherwise it's familiar and inoffensive. Now this particular one is a Select, which is the entry-level model. Now for this test we're pretending it's a premium because it's closer in price to the other 2. So on a premium you get an inch bigger wheels, you get 18s rather than these 17s, and you get a nicer stereo inside, but otherwise they're pretty much the same. Now I personally quite like the 17-inch wheels, but perhaps you'd like a bit more bling, and you can order 19s as an option and you get worse ride, worse efficiency and more expensive tyres. Maybe you would though.
So the thing that you need to know about the MGS5 is that it is a much bigger car than the others here. In fact, it's over 4.4 metres long. Basically, this is the same size as a Ford Explorer or a Renault Scenic. It's the class above the Ford Puma and the Renault 4, but it's in this test because it costs much the same on PCP particularly. It is so much car for the money, the MGS5. That's the whole point of this car. That's why you buy it, because it's a sensible, well-equipped, long-range car for not much money. Brilliant. Is it the best looking car there? Well, no, it's not, is it? But I don't mind the way it looks. It's kind of sleek and modern and inoffensive and fine. Has it got kind of Hyundai Mark 1 Kona vibes to you? It does to me. I think the MGS5 looks absolutely fine. That sort of characterises the whole car is just absolutely fine. And you can say the same of the equipment. So it does get all your touchscreen stuff, your adaptive cruise control and semi-autonomous drive modes, keyless entry, reversing camera. It's pretty well equipped even in the lower spec SE trim. This beauty here, well, she is a trophy long range, which is the highest spec MGS5 you can get. You have to go for the trophy to get heated seats and automatic windscreen wipers. How about that for a weird kind of quirk of the equipment list? Automatic windscreen wipers. I mean, I thought you got that on everything these days. I mean, I think my house has automatic windscreen wipers. What's that about? Anyway, there you go. So you have to go for the trophy to get auto windscreen wipers and heated seats. So that's a bit weird, isn't it, MG? You can't even add those to the lower spec cars. So I think the trophy will definitely be the more popular one, and I think it's the one to go for. I was told by the boss that we're supposed to give you a roundup of which car we think is the best looking. Well, I think it's obvious, isn't it? It's the Renault 4. Obviously the Renault 4 is the best looking. That's why you buy it. That's why we like it. That's why it's going to be a hit. Because it looks great. It's so good. I even like it in that grey that we've got it in. I like it in the bright colours. I love it. You do not buy an MGS5 because you think it looks great. I think we all know that.
As for the charging details, both the Renault and the Ford get 100 kilowatt peak rapid charging, which means 100 mile top up in under 25 minutes. Both will do 10 to 80% in under half an hour. Now, the MG has got the fastest charging here with 139 kilowatts, which could get you an additional 100 miles of range in just 20 minutes. It's also got the bigger battery, 62 kilowatt hours of usable capacity. The Renault gets 52 kilowatt hours and the Ford a rather diminutive 43 kilowatt hours. Now, all of these cars get 11 kilowatt AC charging, which is really useful for curbside charging and public slower charging. Most home chargers will deliver 7 kilowatts, and that gives a full top up in around 7 hours for the Ford, 9 for the Renault and 11 for the MG long range.
So inside there are some premium-y bits, but overall you do get a slightly budget feel compared to the other cars here. I mean, there's these plastics here, you do get some nice soft bits here and some nice soft bits here too, but it doesn't feel that special. But on the plus side, everything's really solid. There's no squeaks, there's no rattles, and I'm sure it'll last forever. There's also a nice bit of fabric up here that looks like a kind of Bluetooth speaker or something. Visibility is pretty good as well. I can see out of everywhere, a rear wiper obviously. Now for this car, there is an update to earlier Pumas where it's got a Sync 4 system for this screen here. And it does work quite quickly. It's pretty intuitive. There's 2 switches down here, one to do the heated windscreen if you've paid the 350 quid for the optional winter pack, and also one that changes the modes down there. Steering wheel's got this slightly squared off look, which everybody seems to think sporty at the moment. And it's pretty comfy with these 2-tone seats. I don't mind it. Oh, also Android Auto and Apple CarPlay wireless with a charging pad in the middle there. And if your phone gets too hot or it's already charged, you can just slide it back there. Quite like it. Cup holders there. And a little place to put a can of drink or your keys down there. So nothing special, but inoffensive. Everything's where you'd expect it. Everything works fine.
If it wasn't for the fact that there's a giveaway that I'm hiding with my hand, I would think I was in a Renault 5. But I'm not, I'm in a Renault 4. But it is pretty much an identical layout, isn't it? And I don't think that's any bad thing. It's got the same nice squares on the roof liner, the same comfy seats. It's got the same layout in terms of technology, all powered by a Google Brain. I really like this system to use actually. It's very intuitive. It syncs really well to CarPlay or to Android Auto if that's what you're using. A lot of times systems like that can be a bit glitchy, and I've found that it's pretty reliable. I also like the fact that you've got colours on the screen. It's really nice and vibrant, and I think it just adds to the fun vibe that these cars have got. What else to tell you? Oh God, yeah, just like the Renault 5, annoyingly, you only get heated seats if you go for the top spec car, the iconic car. And that is really frustrating. It is one of two things. It is either a glaring omission by whoever spec'd the UK cars, or it is a cynical ploy to make us all buy the top spec. I'll let you decide on that one. It's such a shame that we can't spec them on either the entry level or the mid-range trim, because as we know, they are so useful in electric cars in winter. However, this does have one because it's top of the range. Other than that, everything works really well. Yes, we've got all the stalks centred around the steering wheel. Oh, that's just what Renault does. It's either your bag or it's not. I think you do get used to it. But one thing I do really like in Renaults generally, and it's happy to see it in the Renault 4, is a great blend of screens but also physical controls as well. Storage, again, just like the Renault 5, perfectly fine. Wireless charging, really good sized cup holders, a little deep cavern in there to put things in and then forget that you put them in there, because that's what I do.
This video is brought to you with Anderson EV, the UK's most awarded home charge point brand of 2024, offering over 200 colour and finish options, a market-leading 7-year warranty, and a unique hidden tethered cable.
Well, who would have thought it? The interior of the MG is also functional and definitely not sexy. It's a bit boring. So, quite grey, but very straightforward, quite minimalist. Absolutely fine. It's all nice and comfy. You get electric seat adjustment on this trophy, and actually it feels really light and airy compared to the other cars because it's such a bigger car. Visibility is good. It's ticking all of the boxes. And check this out, look. Ooh, physical buttons. Physical buttons for your aircon. Hurrah! That's what we all want, isn't it? Straightforward stuff like that. That's what the MG does really well. And wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Ticking all of the boxes. Previously on MGs you had to plug it in with a USB cable, which I know, hashtag first world problems, half the time it didn't work and it was just really annoying. So I'm really pleased that they've got that. It's got all the features you want in this big touchscreen. The icons aren't too bad. They're pretty big so you can hit them when you're driving. It's all working quite nicely. And look, I've noticed this little touch here. So on the trophy you get this fancy upholstery, and I was looking at it just now and I thought it had W written into it, but it turns out it's obviously M and then a kind of a fancy G. GM, do we think? Could be GM? Don't know. What do you think, Manos? Could it be?
General Motors.
General Motors. Or, I think MG. I think they've got little stitched MG, little kind of like, it's cute. It's nice. That's all right, isn't it? So there are some really nice touches. Yes, okay, the Renault 4 makes this look really quite bland. But do you know what? I prefer it to the Puma because not only is it more spacious, but it's just a bit more straightforward and a bit more modern, I think. And that's fine. Again, the MG does it. It just does the job. What more do you want?
Back seat space in the Renault isn't as much as I was expecting, but headroom is good given the boxier shape. And there is a decent sized area under the rear seats to tuck your feet into, which is useful for taller passengers. Overall, quality feels really good in the back, and even though the materials are pretty similar to the ones you find in the Ford, the fact that Renault has really thought about the design just helps to elevate it, and it feels a far nicer place to be. Rather surprisingly, the door openings are the widest out of the bunch, which is very helpful when you're getting kids and car seats in and out.
I mean, you don't need me to tell you how much more space you're getting in the back here than in the Renault or Ford. Just look at it. It is much roomier and lighter. It is a bit disappointing that you only get a centre rear armrest on the top spec trophy trim in the MG, yes, but the others in this test don't get one of those regardless of trims and options. Access to the back seats of the MGS5 is good too, and isn't far off the Renaults, plus the roofline is a touch higher so it's easy to bend in and faff about with child seats.
Once you're in the back of the Puma, it's fine. Because there's a battery under the floor, the passengers will notice their feet being a bit higher than is perhaps natural, and you can't snuggle them in as far under the front seat. It's also a bit dark and dreary in here, and anyone taller than my 5'9" will start to swap dandruff with the headlining, if they have hair. Kids will be fine though, just watch that door opening angle if you're planning on using a baby seat, or need to move someone who is less mobile.
Boots, very important in a family car, so let's have a look at them. Renault 4's is 420 litres of space. The seats will fold back. Sadly, they don't go flat, but you do get 1,400 and something litres, so a lot of storage in there. And it has a nice flat aperture.
Well, I have got a bit more than Ginny's, but not that much more. And I think for the size of this car, you might expect it to be a little bit bigger. But yeah, much the same size as in the Renault 4, but I think I've got a bit more underfloor storage, much higher load lip, and the seats do fold flat in the MGS5, so there is that too.
Whereas my boot is the biggest and the best, because I've got this nice floor here, but lifted up, store the board there, and there's this huge space. Big boot! It's huge, 523 litres, and I've got a frunk as well, although you won't get much more than cables in there.
Biggest isn't always best, you know, Tom. Has anyone told you that? Because look, what matters is all about how usable they are. So I think it's time to call on the little scratchy-eared, four-legged tester on the team. Come on, Ziggy, let's give these boots a try. Come on, Ziggs, MG first. Come on, Ziggs. Come on, up. Oh, no. Come on. Come on, Ziggy, this one. Come on, up. Oh, it's a hard no, that lip, that's not happening. You ready, Ziggs? Come on, Renault, come on, up. Good boy. Ziggy deems that the winner on the boot contest is the Renault.
The ladies might have all sorts of advantages with their Renault and their MG, but I can guarantee I'll be having the most fun in the Puma. So Ford ever since, well, I suppose the first Focus have always been the kind of the benchmark of mainstream vehicle dynamics, I suppose. And this is no exception, really. It's really good fun to drive. There's not a load of power. I've got 165 horsepower, which is all right. It's more than the Renault, but it's not like blow your socks off fast. It's 0 to 60 in 8 seconds. Perfectly adequate, but you know, not fast. But it's really well judged, this car. I like the way the steering feels. In fact, I was thinking this morning, have I driven a car recently that has nicer steering than this? And I don't think I have, and that includes a Lotus. When you first get into this car, you think, oh, it's refined, it's an electric car. And then you put your foot down for the first time, and you think, have I got something stuck in the wheel? Am I getting a puncture? But no, that's the artificial engine roar they put in. Now that's in normal mode. If I go down to here and change the settings, and put it in sport, I think the steering feels much different, maybe a little heavier, but I get even more fake noise. Yay. Put it back into normal. It's not what you'd call a real enthusiast car. It's not a hot hatch, hasn't got enough power for that, but it's enough fun for every day. And it's also friendly. It's not intimidating. It's a car you can just get in and drive, and you'll have fun if you want it, but it just feels competent, well judged, I suppose.
So the 4 has a slightly softer suspension than the 5, and it is of course a bit taller, but it doesn't feel wallowy at all. I think the ride does feel fairly firm. It's well damped enough to take a sting out of most road surfaces. You will notice though, I think, bigger lumps and bumps on the roads, and let's face it, the roads in the UK are pretty bad. Again, like the 5, I am a little bit conscious of wind noise just creeping in over the top of the door on either a very windy day like it is today or when you're going at speed on the motorway.
The MG is usefully the fastest car here. It's got 231 brake horsepower, it's rear-wheel drive this car. 0 to 62 in 6.3 seconds. That's kind of mad, isn't it, when you think about it? Because it's going on for sort of hot hatch speeds. And yet, you get into the MG, and the last thing you want to do is drive it quickly. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, because it's just a workhorse, isn't it, this car? It's a car that, you get in and it's just, and relax. And who doesn't want that? I think that's a good thing. It's got really nice, cushy, kind of long wave ride comfort. soaks up all the bumps. Kind of big sidewalls on the tyres help with that as well. Steering's quite light, but feels connected enough. You know, you're confident in the car. You can do, you know, faster speeds. It's got the performance if you want a straight line burst of speed. It's got it. But generally, it's just a car you want to sit back and enjoy. It's a little bit noisy. You get the suspension noise mostly, is what you get in this car.
So, as things stand at the moment, the Renault 4 is front-wheel drive only. It gets a punchy 148 brake horsepower electric motor, which makes it feel nippy and responsive without, I think, ever feeling a bit too quick. I think responsive is also the word I'd use for the steering. In general, it reacts quickly to wherever you want it to go. The steering is direct, it holds the road well. It's really nicely composed through corners, and you can enjoy a fun country road with a bit of sport mode if that's what you fancy. But then around town, it's time for what I think is an absolutely brilliant addition to the Renault 4, a new brake regeneration system. So the system offers 3 different levels of brake regen and a true one-pedal driving mode. All of it is controlled via paddles on the steering wheel. You do, however, have to go for the mid-spec Techno trim or the top spec to get it. I think it's a really nicely calibrated system. So it's not too much regen in those earlier levels, which will suit you if you don't love regen as much as I do, or you're just getting used to it. But the one pedal mode is brilliant, and I have driven around town and hardly had to use the brakes at all, which is great for me. The system reminds me very much of the regen systems that we've always rated highly in Kia and Hyundai's cars. Listen, just roll on the day it's added to the Renault 5 is all I can say, because it's definitely suiting this car.
The only thing that I would say does genuinely annoy me about this car and the way it drives is the fact that you have to go into the screen to change your regen settings, your brake regen. So you can have the brake regen in the MG set as adaptive, so it senses when there's a car in front and it will automatically brake harder or lighter and that kind of thing. And I do find it a bit intrusive on that front. It's not quite as kind of, it takes a bit of time to get used to it, and sometimes it's a bit less predictable than the adaptive brake regen that you do get in some other alternative cars. So there's that, but you can also have it in fixed regen. So you've got 3 levels of fixed regen, and that's all great. The fact that you've got that variation and that flexibility is brilliant. Other than that, it's fast, which is fine, but more importantly, it's comfy, it's quiet. It's just good, really, isn't it? It does everything you want it to. Is it as fun as the Ford Puma? No. Is it kind of, in fact, I'd say the Renault 4 is more fun as well. It just feels heavier, a bit stodgier.
The gear selectors on the right-hand side stalk here, and you've got a normal reverse neutral drive like you'd expect on an electric car, but then you've got an L button. Now, L is what other people would call a B mode, so it puts on the higher regen braking. So if I lift off, I'll go completely to a stop. I can do one pedal driving. It's an option in the menu there. And without it, it just drifts like you'd expect. But I always go with the L because you get efficiency. It also tells you on this little screen in front of me when you've got some regen, which is all very nice to see. One advantage this car will have over the girls' cars, I'm convinced, is on efficiency. So on my 2-hour drive here, with a bit of motorway and a bit of traffic included, it's 21 degrees. I was averaging kind of 5.1. That's really exceptional. So far on this trip where I've been poodling around the country lanes, it's only doing 3.8, but I bet it's more than theirs. This car is niggle free. It's not exceptional in any area, but it's not awful in any area either. It's not a car that you go, oh, I don't think I could live with that. It's a really easy car to live with.
That's what you get when you buy a bigger car that's focusing more on comfort than on being fun and cool. And I don't really mind that about the MG. Maybe that just says more about me being perhaps not so fun and cool as Ginny and Tom. Who knows?
So I think the question I need to ask myself is, does the Renault 4 put a smile on my face the way the 5 does? And you know what? I think it does. I think this is a great little car to drive. It's fun, it's responsive, it's easy, and there's something quite charming about it that I think makes it quite easy to fall for. So we've driven and we've deliberated. Now it is time to talk cold, hard cash. And when you look at actually the list price of these three cars, there doesn't appear to be a lot in it, but the finance tells a different story, doesn't it, Vic?
Yeah, so we run all of our finance PCP deals through the same terms. You can see all the details along the bottom of the screen here. And yeah, these three, blimey, they came out a bit more expensive than I expected. So you're looking at, you know, £470 to £500 for these three, so it's a lot. But leasing, it's a bit of a different story, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, leasing makes much more sense. So I looked on the electrifying.com leasing page, and these came out when I checked just a few minutes ago. The Renault, £324 a month. The Ford, £359 a month. And the MG, £419 a month.
Wow.
That's a big difference.
All on the same terms?
All on the same terms.
Gosh, that is a big difference, isn't it? Well, now we've got all that in mind, we do have to decide on a winner, I suppose, is kind of what we need to do. I think for me, having driven them all, and it's the first time that I've seen the Puma and the MG, I would just say that the Puma just doesn't feel that special to me. It feels like it's just a bit of an afterthought for Ford, a bit of a, oh, okay, there you go. Whereas I think this does feel special, and I think the MG offers a lot for the money unless you buy it on lease, of course. Yeah, Vicky, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, I'm still gonna, you know, fly the flag for the MG, because I do think for the sheer amount of space you get, for the range you get and this kind of thing, it is great value. Yeah, granted, maybe not so much when you on the leasing terms, but even so, it's a great thing. If you just want a really sensible car, and I quite like that. Maybe I'm just getting old and boring, but there you go.
I mean, these are quite conventional, the MG and the Ford.
Yeah.
The Renault has the novelty factor now. My worry about it is that will that novelty wear off? Will it look a bit naff in a few years? I mean, you think like the Volkswagen Beetle, the new Volkswagen Beetle, and the Chrysler PT Cruiser, they both became quite naff quite quickly.
Did you just compare the Renault 4 to a PT Cruiser?
But then there's things like the Mini, which have remained cool. So I don't know which way it's going to go.
Honestly, I think Renault have nailed it with design. I think this will go down the lines of the Renault 5, and I think people will love it for years to come. But you know what, Tom, we're going to have to come back in years to come and find out, aren't we? But you know, we do have to come up with a winner, because there's nothing more annoying than watching three people waffle on about cars for the best part of half an hour and then not tell you which one is best. So let's do that. If we were buying one of these three with our own money right now, after three, which would it be? 1, 2, 3, Renault 5. 4! I'd have the Renault 4 and the Renault 5. Make it a two-car garage. Yeah, it's a worthy winner, isn't it?
It is definitely a worthy winner. And I think, you know, what I really want to take away from this is just how good it is. You've got so much choice now with this kind of price range. Isn't that great? I just think, you know, it's really good. But yeah, God, as an all-rounder, you can't really beat it, can you?
Okay, and we will be reviewing loads of other great electric cars that are coming your way over the coming months. So if you aren't already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and switch your notifications on. Bye! Wave, you miserable bugger.
Sorry, I was just having a thought there.